NFL Network is continuing to release the names on the NFL Top 100 Players of 2022. So far, we've gotten players from 100 to 21. Today, we're going to focus on two key players who have yet to be named, but we are sure they're going to be there on Sunday afternoon. Davante Adams and Cooper Kupp. So let's put our jerseys on. Let's put the players' shoes on. Tell me what you think. Who's supposed to be ranked higher on this list? If you're sitting in that locker room, you're handed a piece of paper, who do you put higher on your list? Who has a better ranking? Davante?
I, as NFL observer from the outside, would look at last year's statistics, both in the regular season and in the postseason and a Super Bowl ring, and would say Cooper Kupp is the best wide receiver in football right now. But I am not an NFL player, and I have noticed throughout several of these podcasts that have been done, and several of these lists that the players have been asked throughout Inside Training Camp on NFL Network, that Cooper Kupp is not the number one receiver mentioned, that Davante Adams is the number one receiver mentioned. I think it's interesting. For whatever reason, Cooper Kupp might not be getting the same props that others do, despite what he did statistically last year. Take a look at where the NFL Network has placed Cooper Kupp.
Where they got him?
On their NFL 100 when we have these player votes throughout the years. I believe we have the list.
What,
it would
Cooper
be
Lance?
89th one time. And never ranked otherwise. Like, that's... So I don't know. It's not like this guy just was an overnight sensation. He's been doing it for years. I would be shocked if all of a sudden the players are like, yeah, he's better than Davante Adams. Personally, I don't think I've ever seen a wide receiver season, including Jerry Rice's 1985 campaign, including Larry Fitzgerald's playoff run in 08. Like, I've never seen anything like what Cooper Kupp did last year. And yet, Jason, you're the ex-player here. And I don't think, necessarily it's because he's he's not viewed the same way as Davante Adams, and maybe you can help me explain why he's not respected the same way.
I'm going with Davante Adams in this argument. I do feel like he's the better receiver of Cooper Kupp, and I don't feel like it's a slight on Cooper Kupp because coming off of last season, Cooper Kupp to me is right behind Davante Adams. So it's not to say, he's not. Cooper Kupp is a really good wide receiver, but for me, Davante Adams is just different. When Cooper Kupp was asked who the top 5 receivers were, he put Davante Adams.
He didn't mention himself, though.
At number 1. He didn't mention himself, but he put him at 1. When Justin Jefferson talked about it, he put Davante Adams at number 1. And there's a reason. This guy off the line of scrimmage is explosive. He talked about it on the Pivot podcast, and he said, hey, when I'm lined up there, I have almost a Rolodex of what I want to do, and then there's plan Bs off of that. But he is just kind of meticulous and almost like a surgeon at the line of scrimmage, and then his route running ability is second to none. An extremely dynamic player, very explosive, and he dictates coverage. When Davante Adams is lined out there at number 1, the safety is covered that way. Or we have a full double team, and now we have to have other people on the backside playing all by themselves. Cooper Kupp is a little bit different. He works more in the slot. Sometimes on third down, we'll double team in the slot, but we don't typically do as much things in the slot to a guy like Cooper Kupp compared to Davante Adams. So for me, it's no slight. Cooper Kupp is a beast, dog in him, all of those things, adjectives you can say. He's a monster, but I'm still going with Davante Adams as number 1.
See, I'm going to stick with Cooper Kupp because it has to do with the 2022 season. And Davante Adams is undergoing a lot of change in his career right now. I know he's going back to his college quarterback, but there's still adjustments. He's moving. He's got new teammates. He's got a new coach, coordinator, readjusting to life with Derek Carr. The impact that may have on him, the potential to me, knocks him down. Not a lot. They could sit right there, but I do think Cooper Kupp is going to have the better ranking. And I actually went right to the source and dug up a tweet that I found that makes me appreciate what Davante Adams and his analysis from November of 2020. Davante Adams says, Cooper Kupp is the most underrated receiver in the league, which means that Davante Adams is watching, which means that the players are watching. And even though underrated means one thing, but if the players have their eyeballs on him, I think that means Cooper Kupp, who just came off, I think, one of the best seasons a receiver can have, is going to have a better ranking than Davante Adams.
That is a cool tweet.
Yeah.
He's definitely slayed the underrated dragon.
Yes.
Now he's trying to take the best in the game mountain. It's a funny thing because you start thinking, you're like, why Davante? Is it because he's bigger? He's actually not. If you look it up, Cooper Kupp is an inch taller than Davante. And then you're like, well, Davante is much faster. He's maybe a step faster if you care about 40 times, which I don't really care about either. I can't put the reason on it either. And the only reason I would say Cooper Kupp is that I think this conversation is going to be much more interesting 1 year from now, in which the only professional football we've ever seen Davante Adams play is with the greatest quarterback who's ever played the game, in my opinion, the most talented and the best, in Rodgers. Let's see how he is with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is very good, but Cooper Kupp was getting 94 catches with Jared Goff. He's getting 150,000 with Matthew Stafford. It's no slight against Davante. It's not his fault that Rodgers is that good. Let's weigh in a year from now and see, like, wow, Davante really is that good. He's amazing, but as of right now, like, I can't find a reason it's not Cooper Kupp. You're into the intricacies of defense and stuff, which is great. Watching from the stands, you're like, what is the slight against Cooper? I can't find one anymore. I think he just keeps avoiding
If Davante Adams went Triple Crown last year, we wouldn't question it. Cooper Kupp went Triple Crown and won a Super Bowl and had the best playoff numbers ever. To me, I'm not the players, though. And the player, it's like, it's not even a question. I've not seen one player put Kupp above Adams.
I can't say it's a slight if you're the number 2 receiver in the NFL. If you're 1, 2, 3, like, we're not slighting you. You're like, we're saying, like, you are really, really good. So I don't look at it as a slight because of the past slight we might have put on Cooper Kupp. Then he's gone through injuries early in his career. He had a monster year where he went for 1,000 yards. They only played 8 games. So it hasn't been just this straight line of, like, 1,000-yard season. Now, the Triple Crown, I mean, takes him over the top. But I just, Davante Adams is different. And if it's any sign, you talk about him joining a new team, joint practices with New England yesterday, any beat reporter talked about was Davante Adams. How he just looked like a different animal out there on the field compared to everybody else. So if there's any indication, him and Carr are picking up from their Fresno State.